Have you ever had people tell you that you need to use solution selling, but you're pretty sure that the person that just said that has no clue what they're actually talking about? I hear it all the time from sales managers, from CEOs of organizations that say, you know what, I really want my people using a solution selling approach. But they don't really know what that means, because when I dig into it, suddenly they just start talking about, oh, we've got to pitch the solution. And in reality, solution selling is actually a fantastic approach. But it does require that we drop the old school crap. And that's where a lot of people miss it. What they're doing is they're repackaging the old school approach and they're calling it solution selling. And that's not what we want to do. We want to be taking people through a process that helps them identify the solution to their own problems. So in this video, I'm going to show you 15 quick solution selling tips to close more sales. Check it out. Number 1, stop pitching. Now, I already gave you a teaser of this in the preview of this video, but we need to stop pitching if we are going to apply an approach that actually works. Whether we call it solution selling or whether we call it anything else, we need to stop pitching up front at the beginning of a conversation. What we see is that most salespeople are starting the conversation by immediately pitching the offering that they have, by talking about the features and the benefits and how this is going to transform their organization and how we can help them save money or whatever it is. And what they're really doing is they're using a 140-year-old selling strategy that begins with pitching, and that doesn't work in today's marketplace. In fact, the data shows us that prospects and buyers do not want us to start with a pitch. What they want us to do is really understand what's going on in their world. Number 2, drop the excitement. Now, we all, if we're at an organization that we like, and if we're selling a product or a service that we like, chances are we may have some excitement and some enthusiasm around what it is that we're actually selling. That's great, but what I want you to do, what I challenge you to do, is to keep that excitement and enthusiasm inside, and we don't need to let the prospect see that at the very beginning. We don't want to start the conversation with, hey, George, what if I could show you a way? Or, hey, Bill, how are you today? Or, hey, Karen, so great to see you. Right? That excitement, chances are, some people probably just immediately stopped the video at this point because it's so painful to watch that really cheesy, excited, enthusiastic approach. And what it's doing is it's immediately signaling to the buyer or prospect that I am a salesperson. And chances are I'm going to come off as really low value in the eyes of that prospect. So we want to drop that enthusiasm and instead just be genuine, be real, lower the tonality, be realistic. Number 3, make it about them. Here's a huge switch that happens between the traditional old school way of selling and modern solution selling. The real big difference is that in modern solution selling, it's about the prospect. It's about understanding what's going on in their world. So we want to really make it, in most cases, about their challenges. And we want to make even what our value proposition is, how we're starting the conversation, focus on them. So it may sound something like this. Lauren, right now, what I'm seeing in the marketplace is that organizations just like yours are struggling with this, or they're worried about that, or finally, they're just concerned that they're not getting the ROI on whatever it is. Do any of those issues ring true to you? And what we're doing now is, of course, you've got to fill in the blank with what those are, but what we're doing is we're pulling them into a conversation, and it's all about them, because we're asking, are you seeing these issues going on in the world, in your world? And what we're going to do is pull them into a conversation. And that leads us to number 4, which is understand their challenges. So once you've opened it up about that and you've really made it about them, now what we have to do is make it about their challenges. Understand what's going on in their world. George, if you could be doing just one thing better when it comes to selling, what would it be? That might be a question that I would ask a prospect. In your space, what's that question for you? If you could be doing one thing better when it comes to your operations, what would it be? Get into those challenges. And by the way, don't just leave it there. Get deeper. Think of yourself almost as like an armchair psychologist, where they're saying, oh, well, we've been struggling to really optimize our operations. And now we're going to do something that is kind of counter to what most salespeople do. Most salespeople are going to jump on that and say, well, you're in the right place. What we're going to do instead is say, tell me a little bit more about what you see going on there. Really get them to paint you a picture of what's happening. Number 5, know their objectives. This again is the flip side of understanding the challenges. And objectives are really all about understanding what are they looking to accomplish? What's important to them? And so the two conversations are very closely linked, but understanding big picture, what are you looking to accomplish this year when it comes to operations or whatever it is your sector of business that maybe you're working with? And by the way, even if you're selling to consumers, geez, we just did work on our house and we met with a bunch of different contractors. And what I found really interesting is that most contractors just went right into what are the nuts and bolts of what has to be done. And we only had one contractor who was, by the way, the person we worked with, who said, big picture, what are you looking to do here? What do you want to be using the space for? How do you want to be using the place? And it allowed us to really tell our story, to engage in a way that was bigger picture. Number 6, get clear on what accomplishing their goals will actually mean. And so this is really about understanding, what does this all mean? Right? So we've talked about how we're going to use the place, or we've talked about how we intend to increase sales at our organization, or increase marketing, or increase operational effectiveness. Now, what does accomplishing that goal actually mean to the organization? What does it mean in dollars? Right? Questions like, if you were able to accomplish this, what would it mean in additional revenue? Or what would it mean in additional profitability? You get the answers on that. Now you have created so much value because they're throwing out their number and they're basically telling you what is your value to them. So, so powerful. Number 7, get their personal motivation. I can't say this enough. Every business objective has a personal objective. Let me say that again. Every business objective has a personal objective. And so what that means is they may talk about, yeah, we need to increase our profitability by X, Y, Z. But what does that mean to them? How does that affect them? Or, yeah, we just haven't been getting as many leads from our trade shows. What does that problem, or actually solving that problem, mean to them personally? It could mean bonus. It could mean losing their job. It could mean making more money. Who knows what it means? We want to understand what's their personal motivation. The data has always shown that buyers always make decisions based on personal motivations, on emotion, not just on logical yes or no kinds of questions. Number 8, present only what matters to them. So now we're talking about presentation, right? We've dug deeply, and now what we want to do is we want to present back to them basically the solutions to the challenges that they've already told us are what matters most. And we don't want to go any further than that. Where a lot of salespeople miss the boat here is that they want to present the whole thing. They want to show everything that they can do to help this particular person solve all of their problems. But the reality is that your prospect only cares about probably a couple of things. And so what you want to do is present only to those challenges, only to those concerns, or only to those objectives. You do that, and now what we're doing is we're arming them with, hey, I've listened to you, and now I'm going to arm you with the solution to those challenges. No more, because you're busy, I'm busy. We're not going to spend 3 hours going through the whole thing. Number 9, use case studies. This is really an important distinction. Most salespeople, when it comes to the presentation, are just presenting the features and the benefits. In some cases, it's just the features. But what we really want to be doing is presenting case studies. Barry, you told me about challenges XYZ, and that really reminds me of a particular client that we have who had the exact same types of challenges. Let me share with you what those challenges looked like to them and then what we did to solve them. Would that make sense? Prospect is going to say, of course. And so now what you're doing is you're basically presenting your solution in the form of a story, in the form of an example. And people are always going to be more engaged with that example. They're always going to be more engaged with the presentation that is really just telling a story. Everyone loves story time. Number 10, stop overcoming objections. I said it. Stop overcoming objections. I can't tell you the number of times a sales manager comes up to me and says, we need to teach our people how to overcome objections. And my response always is, well, do you think that objections are the problem or the sales process leading up to that is the problem, where they're getting these objections in the first place? And they inevitably say, you know what, you're right. It's really not about the objections. It's about the fact that they're leading themselves into that place. And now the buyer is saying, well, what about this? Or why can't you do that? A great salesperson is going to make sure that they understand exactly what's going on in the life of their prospect to understand what they care about. And so that way, an objection shouldn't even come up at the end. If anything, an objection is just some simple question that they're going to ask, but it's not going to be in the form of an objection. It's not going to say, oh, well, you know what, you didn't mention this, and this is what's really important to me. Because if they're saying that towards the end of a selling conversation, we're in a lot of trouble, because what it means is that we missed that part in the discovery conversation, and we shouldn't have missed it. We want to stop thinking about overcoming objections, and what we really want to do is avoid the objections in the first place. We want to address the concerns that they have to start, so that way they're not coming up at the very end of a conversation, and then it's an arm wrestling match to try to close the sale. Stop thinking about overcoming objections. Number 11, never go past 60 seconds. This is one of my new favorite pieces of data, which I've learned from an organization called Gong.io, who has basically analyzed millions of selling conversations using artificial intelligence algorithms. And what they found is that no successful sales presentations went past about 100 seconds of monologue, of the salesperson doing all the conversation before bringing the prospect back into the conversation. And in fact, what I've pulled from this is that we never want to let our sales presentations go for more than 60 seconds before we bring the prospect back into the conversation. And that can be really simple. It can sound something like, you know what, George, before I go any further, I just want to make sure, are we still on the same page? Or does that make sense? Or are you still with me on that? What we're doing is we're pulling them back in every 60 seconds. We never want to be going on and on and on and on and on and on. We want to bring them back in. Number 12, focus on the value of your solution. Now, this is where we start to think about what is the big distinction between solution selling and traditional selling. And of course, the whole process has looked different up until now. But now that we're in the presentation mode, what we really want to be doing is not focusing on the features of what we are selling, but instead on the value of that solution, understanding how it's going to positively impact their life, and not on, we're going to do this, 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 and this. By focusing on the value and on the numbers, right? So it's even like, hey, you mentioned that in order to solve these challenges, or by solving these challenges, it's going to potentially increase sales by about $10 million. Here's how I see we could possibly allocate that sales growth. This is how we can accomplish that. And so now it's not a question about just the specifics of what it is you're going to do, but it's about how it's going to positively impact their life, how it's going to positively impact their organization. Number 13, keep the presentation short. This cannot be overstated enough. There are those moments that we've all had in a presentation where we're just going and we're feeling great. And so we're thinking, oh, I just want to keep this going. I just want to keep the momentum going. But the reality is if you've done a good job in discovery, all you have to do is give a pretty short presentation that just shows you know how to solve their problems, and then stop. Don't go any further. Only present to the challenges that they mentioned. No need to go any further. Keep that presentation short. Number 14, make it a back and forth. Now, This has already been seeded earlier on in the conversation, but what we always want to do is make a presentation, a back and forth conversation, not a one-way monologue. That was where the 60-second rule comes in. But we really want to focus on how often are we switching back and forth in this conversation during the presentation. What data shows is that top performing salespeople are having a lot more back and forth in the presentation than average and bottom performers. We want to make this a two-way dialogue. We want to keep engaging the prospect in that conversation. Back, forth, back, forth. Number 15, establish next steps. Have you ever been in a selling situation where everything was going well and then they say, hey, why don't you follow up with me next week? And you say, okay, great. How about I call you on Monday? And they say, sure. And then you call on Monday and they're gone or they're not there. And then you call on Tuesday and they're not there. And then maybe you call on Tuesday afternoon and they're not there. And before you know it, a week has gone by and you had a live one and it's gone. It's just gone. And this can all be prevented by simply establishing next steps. I want you to get used to saying this one phrase. Do you have your calendar on you? Let me repeat that. Do you have your calendar on you? By the way, in today's world, 100% of the time, a buyer is going to have their calendar on them. It's called your phone. It's called your computer. We all have our calendars on us. Get their calendar out, establish those next steps, get in their calendar by sending a calendar invite. You will hold on to so many more sales. Not only are you going to prevent losing sales, but you're going to keep that momentum going much, much more. Establish next steps. So there are 15 quick solution selling tips to close more sales. I want to hear from you. Which of these ideas did you find most useful? Be sure to share below in the comment section to get involved in the conversation. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an awesome free ebook on 25 tips to crush your sales goals. Just click right here to get it instantly. Seriously, just click right here. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube because it really helps me out. And be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking right here, my little face, to get access to a new video just like this one each week.